Hey everyone, I'm Noam Siegel, and I've partnered with Genway AI to create a series of explainer videos on how to use Genway. In this explainer series, I'm going to showcase the entire end-to-end workflow of crafting, executing, and analyzing your research using Genway AI, and showcase all of the capabilities Genway has. This episode will focus on the first part of any research workflow, which we call Craft with AI. And I'm going to demonstrate Craft with AI using a webinar project I've been working on the topic of health, fitness, and diet trends in 2025. Let's jump in. So what you can see on my screen now is the Genway homepage. And on the homepage, we can see that I already have several demo projects, including a project on luxury alcohol, a Jaguar campaign, a project on player motivation in the gaming industry. And below you can see the list of projects I've been working on. In order to get to the Craft with AI experience, I'm going to create a new project and I'm going to choose contextual interviews. We'll get to what contextual interviews are in a separate episode and also what usability studies are in a separate episode. For now, I'm going to choose contextual interviews. And I'm going to give the project a name. Let's call it Health 2025. Keep it short and click on Create Project. We are now in the Craft with AI experience, and Craft with AI is based on a 5-question framework designed for you to be able to create an AI agent capable of conducting in-depth, meaningful interviews. Now, for these interviews to be meaningful, the AI agent requires a substantial amount of information, which we've distilled into 5 primary questions, which I'm going to guide you through right now. So let's get started with the first question on your left right here. What's your project objective? This initial question is all about the background information, the prior research you have for this project, existing insights, the research gap, and the need for this research in the first place. This is very typical in any research plan, research project. We want to start with the context, the background, and what are we missing. So I have prepared a response for each of these questions. I'm going to paste it in. And what's going to happen here is that Genway AI will analyze the answer you provide and validate it and make sure that it has all of the context it needs to proceed to the next question within the Craft with AI experience. If it doesn't, it will warn you that you're missing certain parts of the response that it needs. For example, you're missing the research gap or the need for research. Let's hit the Analyze button. The system analyzes the response and it's good enough, so we can move on to the next question. Moving on to the second question in the Craft with AI experience, we are now on the topics we'll be covering. And for this question, we're looking for answers around the assumptions we're making for this project, new knowledge we're trying to glean from conducting these interviews, the research questions, the central research questions we're trying to answer, and of course, the key insights we're trying to glean from those questions. I'll again paste my response into here, and you can see that I'm looking to learn about training goals for 2025, exercise types and routines, diet, technology and fitness, and a whole lot more. I've included my assumptions down here, my research questions. It's all in there. I click on Analyze Answer again, and wait for the system to validate that answer so I can move on to the third question. The third question is a classic in research. What would we consider a successful outcome? What's the ideal outcome of this project? What are the critical insights that we need to glean in order for it to be successful? And what business strategy, product design, or marketing decisions are we trying to impact, influence? What sort of action are we trying to get to based on these insights? So I'm going to again copy and paste all of this information into here. So for example, I'm defining the ideal outcome as identifying top fitness goals, exercises, and health trends for 2025, and the minimum insights I want, the critical insights, ranked list of the most popular fitness goals for 2025, key trends in exercise, and a whole lot more. As always, I'm going to analyze that answer, let the system validate it, and move on to the next question. The next question is about our sample. Who will the system be interviewing? The better Genway knows who we're going to be interviewing, the better of a job it can do with the interviews themselves. So here we include things like customer characteristics, customer segments if we have them, any type of demographics or psychographics, and any general criteria about the population that we think would be beneficial for the system to know. I'm going to copy and paste my response to this. It's fairly generic because I'm really interviewing a general population, a representative sample of US and UK participants for this project. And so my response to this is a Gen Pop study with individuals with varied fitness levels, etc. Gonna analyze that answer and move on to the final question in the Craft with AI experience, which is the general project guidelines question. This question enables us as users of Genway to really give the system any additional context that might make the interview better, more relevant, and more useful. So I'm going to show you some examples of this in my particular case, and I came to this after testing out the interviews. We'll get to that in a separate episode. So, for example, I asked the system to please not assume that people have training or fitness goals for 2025 as it begins the interview. Ask if they do. And if they do, then ask this. And if they don't, then ask this. So that's one example. I also requested that the system focus on actionable and relevant trends for 2025 and avoid outdated practices, etc. Once I save this, I can create my project and the Craft with AI experience comes to a close. Before we create the project, I want to show you one more thing. So the one more thing is that if I hit Explore Genway GPT, I arrive at this window. This is the Genway project creation assistant, and it can help you build out your project if you're facing a problem that many of us face as researchers, the blank page problem. You're not quite sure how to get this research project started. You know what the topic is. You have some idea of what you want to ask, but you're looking for some support from AI. So I'm just going to do this live, and I'm going to plug in something very basic. I want to run a research project about health and fitness trends in 2025. And what the system will do, what Genway GPT will do, is it will create responses for each of the 5 primary questions within the Craft with AI experience. And here you can see it's happening live. It'll create the objective, background information, prior research for you, all of the things necessary to answer that first question. Once it's done with that, we'll move on to the following questions. You may recall that question number 2 is the topics we'll be covering. Question number 3 is around what success looks like, etc., etc. So this is going to run. It's going to create an entire project for you. Of course, you can continually prompt the system until you reach a project that works for you, and you can adjust any of the responses to make sure that the project is tailored to your needs. This is simply to help you avoid that blank page problem and to get you off to a good start with a response that matches the needs of the Genway AI agent. Finally, let's return to our Genway Craft with AI experience. Once we hit Create Project, the project is created. We've now finished the Craft with AI experience, and we move on to the project settings, which I'll get to in a separate video. By completing the Craft with AI experience, we now have an AI agent tailored for our specific interview needs. And in the next episode, I'll walk you through how to configure that agent at the project level and all of the different settings and configurations you have to make sure the research project goes well and according to your needs and your specifications. If you're part of an insight generating function, or you simply want to understand your customers better, please go to genway.ai and sign up for a free trial account. Try it out. You know how at this point, and let me know how it goes. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers.